Shortly after the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in April of last year, I made a video about Nintendo's vision for GameChat, and if you recall, I was very excited for it. But you may also remember or have noticed that it's been 7 months since the Switch 2 came out and I really never talked about it again. And in fact, that seems to be the case for most people. I never see anyone talk, especially positively, about GameChat. And that makes me worry because despite my silence over the last 7 months, I do still love this feature, and even more so than I thought I was going to initially. So as a refresher, GameChat is Nintendo's solution for voice and video chat on the Switch 2, and it's usually compared to Discord, which, to be fair, is basically what it is. GameChat requires a Nintendo Switch Online subscription, but until the end of March, it's free to use for everyone, because Nintendo wants as many people as possible to try it. But that subscription requirement does seem to be a problem for a lot of people, and to a lot of them it seems like just using Discord is a better option, but personally I actually really disagree with that. So here's the thing, I may not have talked about GameChat very much so far, but I have used it a couple of times since the Switch 2 launched, and the ease of use, in getting into a session and starting to chat and play with your friends, I think is still a very good selling point. Though maybe it didn't fully click with me until very recently. Over the holidays, I had a lot of free time, which I hope a lot of people did, and I was just sitting alone playing the Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered collection, and I felt very alone during this time. I think also because the game drags on a little more than it should, but I just found myself constantly distracted and just looking at my phone instead of playing the actual game. I was constantly pausing whenever I did something. I would pause for a bit, look at my phone, and spend way too long there. So this kind of made me realize that I really just wanted some company, someone who would be there while I'm playing my games and that I can talk to about the game, but just be in this shared space. So I tried looking for some Discord servers and stuff online. And I did find some, and I tried that for a little bit, but then I realized that Discord is just a little too much of a hassle. When I'm on Discord, I'm always worried about, my microphone. I can't really share my screen easily in my game because, it requires a capture card setup and all of that. And it's that's just a whole thing to set up. I don't always want to do that. And I don't really want to share have my microphone on the whole time, because then I'm worried that the microphone's gonna pick up the audio from the game, and I have to keep turning the microphone on or off if I want to say anything. And then also, if I'm using my phone or computer to use Discord, then I have to worry about the battery life on that. If I'm in my living room, I'm not using a fixed desktop computer. I have to worry about that other element as well. So there's just too much going on with Discord, too much that I have to keep in mind when I use Discord while I'm gaming, that just makes the experience not nearly as seamless as I wanted it to be. I felt like I had too many worries in my head, and I wasn't really getting the experience that I wanted out of it because of that, So Discord really wasn't clicking for me in the way that I really wanted it to. See, I've always held this belief that gaming doesn't have to be a lonely hobby. It's a very social and shareable one. I think it is something that really is prime for a lot of discussion and just chatting with people. But it's not often that I really get to experience that in the way that I envision it in my head. It's just not really that easy to make that happen. And Discord was kind of also part of that barrier that makes that shared experience, that communal experience with gaming, a little bit harder. So that's when I turned to GameChat. I went online and I looked around and I found someone who was willing to join me in a GameChat session. And honestly, since doing that, it's been wonderful. We've mostly been playing Mario Kart World together, and it's just so easy to join a session. You start talking and then you don't have to worry about the performance impact when you share your screen, because the Switch 2 is already designed with the performance reserved for this feature. So when you share your screen, it makes no difference at all in your game's performance. You don't have to worry about the microphone quality or the audio or anything, because GameChat is not only optimized to filter out any noise and just pick up your voice, and I've tested that and it actually works really well, but it also is designed to filter out the game's audio. So even if your microphone is next to the TV, it's not going to pick up the sound from the game, and you're only only your voice is going to come through clearly. So like me and my friend here could just talk to each other naturally. There was never like even a hint of an issue with the audio quality. Like I could always hear them perfectly, and I believe they could hear me perfectly. So like it was great. Like it really is as seamless as I wanted it to be. And I love the screen sharing feature too. Like there's just something special about being able to see what's going on the other person's screen, and it just works. You turn it on, you see what they're doing, and like you may say that the resolution or the frame rate are like low and not perfect, but that's not the point. GameChat isn't a streaming service for you to watch someone else play their games. It's only there to really provide the context so that you're always in tune with what the other people are doing. And for that, I think it's perfect, We were playing Mario Kart World, right? And so all my friends needed to do when we were playing is, hey, are these rules good? And I could just see the rules on their screen and say like, yeah, let's go, let's do that. They didn't have to tell me, or like they submit it and then I had to say it and then they had to change it again. Like I could just see their screen and they could just make those decisions on the fly without, that back and forth that could come from, that delayed sort of communication. Like it just worked. It was great. And also because my partner that I was playing with here plays in French, I learned that the knockout tour mode in Mario Kart World is actually just called survival. That's pretty hardcore actually. But as much as I do love Mario Kart, I think what makes this even cooler is that we don't even have to be playing the same games. I didn't get any footage of this, but one of the days that we were playing together, after we played Mario Kart World, we just split ways and I went to play Tomb Raider, as I mentioned, and they were playing SpongeBob Titans of the Tide. And like, that was a really cool experience because like, I'm meeting this person, it's relatively new to me, so like, I got to learn that they've played these Tomb Raider games, the original ones, back in the day. I never, they got to tell me about that. And they actually knew some things about the game that I wasn't totally sure of, like, oh, there was no map in the game. I figured there wasn't, but like, I wasn't sure. It was just cool to like hear from their perspective. Like they knew what this was a little better than I did. So like that was a really cool experience. And and I got to see them play their game. And they were making comments about my game because I kept losing. I wasn't sure what I was doing. Like, we're just always in that context, that shared context. It's always there. Like you can always see, you can make comments about it. If you say something about the game that you're playing, it doesn't come across as random or pointless because the other person sees what you're doing. They can like sort of like mentally support you. They're there for you and they understand what's happening in your game, even though they're not playing it. It really makes it like so you don't have to be tethered by this game that you're both playing at the same time, because when you're sharing your screen and talking, that context, the full context of what you're doing is always being shared. You're always in the same sort of virtual space. So you can just talk naturally about your game and their game, and it all just comes naturally because they can see exactly what's going on. And if you ever do need to take a closer look, then you have the option to expand someone else's game screen. It's really cool. And that's not even touching the last really cool feature of GameChat, which is the ability to use GameShare over the internet using a GameChat session. So, how the Switch 2 has this GameShare feature where you can use a local wireless communication to like share certain games with other people around you. With GameChat, if the other person has a Switch 2, of course they need to, you can actually share those games in the same way online. I haven't had the chance to do that yet, but we are planning to do it soon with the 51 worldwide games, or Clubhouse games, 51 worldwide classics, depending on your region, whatever. Like, we're planning to do that soon, and I'm pretty excited about that. But that's just another cool feature on top of what I consider to be the best part of it. So by now, you can probably tell that to my specific needs, GameChat is pretty much perfect. Like, this is exactly what I wanted it to be. Like, this ease of communication, the ease of sharing this gaming experience, and you can just talk and see each other. Like, it works so well for what I would like to have in my gaming experiences. I really love it. And, that does make me a little concerned because, like I said at the beginning, no one is talking about GameChat. It's been 7 months. All the discourse around GameChat was like right up until the launch of the Switch 2, maybe a week after. And I've never heard anyone talk about GameChat again. And especially, again, not in a positive light. Like, it just seems like most people would rather use Discord. And that does worry me, because if this service does not get enough use, obviously it's not going to be worth it for Nintendo to support GameChat in the long run. And that means that in 2-3 years, I'm not going to be able to use this tool that, to my needs, is just perfect. And that kind of sucks to think about. But yeah, all I can do is hope that maybe this video convinces more people that GameChat is cool. Hopefully more people will start using it. But until then, if you've watched all the way through, thank you so much for watching this video. Please consider subscribing, leave a comment below, and I'll see you next week. Bye.